Hello and welcome friends. Up till now we have discussed the method that is used to find out the roots of the equation. The method that we have discussed is the factorization, and now I hope you have practiced some question on the use of this particular method to find out the roots of an equation. Now, just to assess how much you have understood and how much you have learned from our earlier discussions, these are the questions that you will have to solve. And you will have to solve for the x. You will have to find out the values of x, since all of them are quadratic equations. So naturally there would be two values that would be satisfying the x in these equations. So you have to find out both the roots or both the values of x. Now we are moving on to discussing one more example. In fact, we'll be discussing two more examples so that you get a better idea about solving the quadratic equation using the factorization method. And what is different in this example is that in this example we are also dealing with negative numbers. We are dealing with negative signs. Up till now we have discussed examples in which we only had positive signs, so they were a bit easier for you to solve. But now we will be discussing those questions in which there is negative sign involved, and which might be a tad little difficult. Not very difficult, but a little more complicated to do, and that is why we are going to discuss these questions now. So this is the first question in front of your on your screen. X square plus 2x minus 48 is equal to 0, and you have to give me the roots of the equation. You have to use the factorization method to find out the value of x. And since it is a quadratic equation, there would be two values which would be satisfying this equation. There would be two values of x which would satisfy this particular equation. So what we will do is, as we have been doing earlier also, we will be finding out the two values of x, and then once we have done that, we would also verify whether our answers are correct or not. So should we move ahead? Okay, now what was the first step? Do you recall? The first step was that you had to multiply the term with x square and the term having no x. So basically you have to multiply x square into this particular term, and remember that this is not plus 48, this is basically minus 48. So when you multiply the two, what product are you going to get? You are going to get minus 48x square, and this is pretty important. Don't forget this. This is very important. So minus 48x square, this is the term that you will get. Then what was the next step? You had to basically take this particular coefficient. This was the coefficient which was there, which is 48. In fact, it is minus 48, so you have to take up 48 and you have to find out the factors of 48. And so I have written down the factors of 48. So basically 48 is equal to 1 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 3. So basically this is how we factorize 48. But please understand and remember that I have told you that at times 1 may be of some use to you. So though you may remove 1 from this particular expression, you can also write 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 3, but you would always mention 1 because it might be of some use to you when you are trying to split the middle term. Now basically now what you have to do is you have to basically split this middle term, which is how much? This is basically plus 2x, in such a manner that the two split terms that you obtain, they, when multiplied with each other, they give you this particular product, this one, right? So this is how we have to split the middle term. And so we are now going to use a hit and try method, and then we will look at different options that can be there. So the first option is basically 2x and 24x. And how do we do that? I told you that what you have to do is basically this second step will give you an idea about how to form the two terms. So in the first instance, in this particular option, what we have done is we have basically multiplied these two terms. The first two terms we have multiplied, and then the remaining terms we have multiplied, and the product has been written as the second term. So basically 1 into 2 becomes 2x, and 2 into 2 into 2 into 3. The remaining 4 terms we have multiplied, so it becomes 24x. Now the sum of this is 26x. However, we don't need this. We need plus 2x. It is plus 26x. So we move on to the next option. This time what we will do, is basically we will take up 2. Now see, we can understand that the sum of two terms, if it has got to be 2x, the one option can be 1x plus 1x. This could be 2x, but the second option can be one of the term is a negative term, just like in this case. This could be the second option, and that is why what we have done is, this time what we have done is, we have, instead of 24x, we have mentioned minus 24x. So everything else is same. The first two terms have been taken up, and then we have taken up the remaining 4 terms which are here, and we have used the minus sign also. So 2x minus 24x. So when we add them up, 2x and minus 24x, the sum will be minus 22x. But we needed basically 20 plus 2x. So we needed plus 2x, while the sum that we are getting here is minus 22x. So this option is not going to work. But then now in the third go, let us make some more guesses, and this time let us try and do what? This time we'll be taking up the first 3 terms. This time I'm taking up these 3 terms, 1 into 2 into 2. And now since I've understood that if I have to find the sum, if the sum has to be equal to plus 2x, the only option that is left with me is plus 1x. Otherwise, in all other cases, at least one term would be a negative term. So rather than testing the positive terms, what I'm doing is, I'm not testing the positive terms. I have started using the negative terms now. So 1 into 2 into 2 is basically 4x, and the remaining one I have done what? 2 into 2 into 3. 2 into 2 into 3 becomes 12, and I have put a minus sign, so that when they are added up, 4x and minus 2x, the sum is equal to minus 8x. But again, this is coming closer to what I want. It is coming closer to plus 2x, but still it is not 2x. So I would reject this particular way of splitting the middle term also. And now I'll go for the next option. Now here, what I've done this time, now you can understand. What I've done here now is, now this time I've taken up the first 4 terms. So 1 into 2 into 2 into 2 becomes 8x, while the remaining 2 into 3 becomes 6x. And since I know that adding them up is going to give me 14x, at least one of the terms should be negative. So what will I do? I will split it in this particular fashion. I will use minus x in one of the instances. So I have used minus 8x here, and the second term, which is 6x. So in one of the instances I am using the minus sign. So now the sum will be minus 8x plus 6x, and this is still minus 2x. So it is minus 2x, and I don't want that because my sum should have been plus 2x. However, the product here, as will be the case in the products in other places also, the product would be very much closer to what I want, but here it is exactly what I want. It is minus 48x square. This is what I want, and this is pretty natural because I am basically taking the factors from here only when I am trying to find the 2 terms. So basically I am taking them from here only. So that is perfectly normal. But now this gives me a cue. If I add up minus 8x and 6x, it becomes minus 2x. Had there been no negative sign, it would have been 14x, and that is what some I don't want. But then this gives me an idea that had it been minus 6x and plus 8x, I would probably have got 2x, 8x and minus 6x instead of minus 8x and 6x. Had it been 8x minus 6x, then probably I would have got plus 2x here, and this takes me to my next guess or my next option, and this time what I'm doing is I'm using 8x and minus 6x, right? So this time I have used 8x minus 6x. The sum becomes 2x. So this is what I wanted. Perfectly fine. And now since I have taken the factors from here only, the product is again minus 48x square, and that is what I wanted because here also I had got the same product. So basically it is minus 48x square, which means now this means that this is the way I'll be splitting the middle term, which is plus 2x. So now how do I split it? X square plus 2x minus 48 is equal to 0. I'll split the middle term in this particular fashion, 8x and minus 6x. So I do that, and then I'll be using my normal procedure. I'll form pairs of two terms each. So I have formed one pair I have formed here and the other pair I have formed here. And what I've done is, in the first pair I have taken out x, which was common, x square plus 8x, I have taken out x, so it becomes x in bracket x plus 8. And in the second pair what I've done is I've taken out, please mind it, I've taken out minus 6. So what remains inside the bracket is x plus 8. If you feel that you might have made a mistake, you can go back in the opposite direction and cross check it. So I'm doing that also. X into x becomes x square, perfectly fine. And then x plus 8 multiplied together plus 8x, then minus 6 into x multiplied together minus 6x, and then minus 6 into 8, that becomes minus 48. So perfectly fine. So my factorization is all fine. My whatever I've taken out as common is absolutely fine. Now I told you that another way in which you can check whether you are moving in the right direction is you should be getting the same term in both the places. See, x plus 8 is there in both the places, and so I can in the next step take x plus 8 as common. Since x plus 8 is same in both the terms, this is also an indicator that probably I am moving in the correct direction. X plus 8 now will be taken as common, and what remains inside is x minus 6. So now when you equate the two to 0, you will get the value of x minus 6. If you equate it to 0, you will get x equal to 6, and when you equate x plus 8 is equal to 0, you will get the value x equal to minus 8. And when you have obtained these values as your answers, you should also cross check it. So what I'll be doing now is I'll verify. In the first step what I'll do, I'll verify whether x equal to 6 is the correct value or not. So what will I do? I'll put this value in the original equation that I had, x square plus 2x minus 48. So I've put in this value here, and this gives me 0, and which means that x is equal to 6. That was a correct solution, and I have verified that it was a correct solution. Is this okay? Now as far as x plus 8 is concerned, we can use the same procedure. I'll put x is equal to minus 8 in the equation, original equation. When I put it here, I'll get minus 8 square plus 2 into minus 8 minus 48 is equal to 0, which means again even this particular solution is okay. So I have also checked my answers. These answers are they have both been verified and they are all correct. Is this okay? So this is how we go about as far as those equations are concerned in which there might be a negative number. In this particular case, the negative number was minus 48. So this is how you go about solving these kind of equations. It is not at all difficult. The same logic applies everywhere. The only thing that you have to be mindful of is that the product should not be equal to plus, it should be equal to minus. Like in this case it was minus 48x square. So the product should be minus. It should be a negative product because one of the digits here was negative and the product that we had got here was minus. So here the product also again should be minus. So this is how you proceed in these kind of problems. Now we'll be taking a slightly different problem wherein yes, we do have a negative term, but it's a different term which is a negative term. Up till now we had the third term or the term without any x as negative, but now we have the middle term as negative. So let us try and solve this. So the first thing that you do is you multiply the first term and the last term. And to be frank, instead of using these terminologies, I think we should be using the term with x square and the term without any x. So you should be multiplying the two terms. So you multiply 6x square with plus 98, so it becomes 588x square. Is this understood? What happens in the next step? In step 2, you have to basically factorize 588, the coefficient of what you have obtained in the first step. So you basically factorize 588. What are you going to get? You are going to get 2 into 3 into 2 into 7 to 7. We have also multiplied it with 1. But then how do you do that? Don't factorize 588 straight away. See, 588 is nothing but a product of 6 and 98. So what you do, rather than factorizing 588, you simply factorize 6. So 6 basically becomes 1 into 2 into 3 or 2 into 3. And then you factorize 98. So 98 is nothing but 2 into 7 into 7. Right? So rather than trying to factorize 588, which is the product, you factorize all those terms which have been multiplied to get that product. So you basically factorize 6. So we have factorized 6 here, 1 into 2 into 3, and then we have factorized 98. So we have got the correct answer. If you go on to factorize 588 also, there also you will get the same result. Is this okay? So I am giving you a shortcut. You can factorize the terms that actually multiply with each other to give a particular product. So if you want to find out the factors of the product, you can also find out by finding the factors of the constituent terms, or the terms which have led to the particular product. So rather than factorizing 588, we have factorized the constituent terms 6 and 98. Is this okay? Now in the third step, what we have to do is basically we have to use these factors that we have obtained in step 2 in such a manner that we are able to get this sum. The sum that we should get is minus 49. Remember this, it's not only 49. So that is something that you have to take care of. Minus 49x, that is what we need to get. Right? So the first option that we have tried is, I have straight away tried to use the experience which I have gained so far in looking for those splits which might bring me closer to the answer. So I have not gone for 2, which I was doing earlier, taking the first 2 terms and taking the remaining terms together. So it would have been 2 into 2, 9, 4. So that is something that I have not done. What I have done is I have taken up this time, I have taken up 1 into 2 into 3 into 2. So basically I have taken this up. So this becomes 12x and the remaining portion becomes 49x. But when you add them up, the sum is 61. Even if one of these terms is negative, let's say minus 49 plus 12 or minus 12 plus 49, even then you would have got somewhere in the range of plus or minus 37. Is this okay? Plus 37 or minus 37. Even that does not serve our purpose, so we'll go for the next option that we can have. So this time, as I've said, we already checked for this case in which one of the term is negative. Here also when you add them up, it will become minus 37x. If you rather go for an option in which the first term is negative, that is minus 12x, and then plus 49x, the sum would have been plus 37x. This is also what we don't need, so we are going to move ahead. This time what I've done is I've tried to be a little more creative, and what I've done is I've taken up 1, 2, 3 and 7. So I've taken up slightly different numbers this time. I've taken up 1, 2, 3. So I've taken up this one and I've taken up this one. So this becomes 1 into 2 into 3 into 7, which is basically equal to 42. And the remaining portion which is left now, this 2 and this 7, I've clubbed them up in the other pair and the product is 14. When you add them up, it is 56. Does not serve our purpose. Even if one of the term is negative, it would be somewhere around plus or minus 28. Even that would not serve our purpose. So we are moving ahead. We are now going to use some other technique to solve this particular question, some other option rather, to solve this question. And this time what we have done is we have taken a slightly different grouping. Now this time what we have done is I have taken up this 1 and 2, or should I be using some other color? Let me use the yellow color, which might probably be more visible to you. So this time what I've done is I have used these 1 and 2, and then I have used the 2 and 7 here. So this becomes 1 into 2 into 2 into 7, which is basically 28. Now the remaining portion which is left, you can understand now, is this 3 and this 7. So the remaining portion which is left is 21, and when I add them up, I'll get this sum 49x. So when you add them up, this is what you are going to get, 49x. But you don't want 49x, you want minus 49x. Is this understood? So you are not going to wait here, you are not going to stop here, you are going to proceed further. See the product again, the product will be 588x square, because after all we are taking the factors of 588 only, so this will be indeed 588x square. So now what we have to do is we have to somehow think of an option in which we will get the sum as minus 49x, right? So that is what we are going to do now. Now what happens if I add these two terms, or let's say if I use a minus sign and I convert these values into minus? So what will happen then? Minus 28x and minus 21x. When you add them up, this becomes minus 49x, and when you multiply them, minus and minus multiplied would be plus, and 28 into 21, you will have to do an x square, so you'll get 588x square, which indeed is the product that you wanted. So now for us, this is the split that we are going to use. So this is the split that we are going to use now, this one. So let us start moving ahead. The next step would be x square minus 49x plus 98 is equal to 0. We are going to split this middle term in this particular manner, minus 28x and minus 21x. So I do that, and then I club up two terms, these two terms and these two terms, and then I take out some common. So I have taken out, in this particular context, I have taken out 2x. So what remains inside is 3x minus 14. So out of this particular term that I had got, 6x square minus 28, I have taken 2x as common. So what is left inside is 3x minus 14. Here I have taken up minus 7. So what is left inside is 3x minus 14. Again, you can cross check by going in the opposite direction. So what you do is you try and find out 2x into 3x will be 6x square, perfectly fine. 2x into minus 14 is equal to minus 28x. In fact, I have not mentioned x here, so let me make that correction also. So minus 20x, it should be here, it should be minus 28x. Just a moment, let me make this correction here. It was basically minus 28x. So I've made this correction now. So we had reached this particular stage. So what we have done here is 2x into 3x, 6x squared, 2x into minus 14 becomes minus 28x, minus 7 into 3x becomes minus 21x, and minus 7 into minus 14 becomes plus 98, which means we have done it in the right manner. And one more indicator of this is that we have got this same term in both the places, so we can take out this term as common. So we have taken out this term as common, and what is left inside now becomes 2x minus 7 whole into 3x minus 14. So 2x minus 7 in brackets multiplied by 3x minus 14 in brackets. So these are the two terms that we have got, and now we'll be using the same procedure which we had adopted earlier. 2x minus 7 is equal to 0, we'll get x equal to 7 by 2. 3x minus 14 is equal to 0, we'll get the value of x is equal to 14 by 3. So this is how we have done this, and now we can cross check our answers using the same verification methodology that I had discussed with you earlier. So we'll put in these values in the original equation, and we should be getting a 0, which we do get in both the cases. You do check it on your own. I'm not going to spend too much time on this now, so you can check it on your own. So the solutions that we have been able to obtain here, they are both correct. Now this is another question which has been given in the book, so I'm not going to discuss this question in detail. I hope you will be able to do this question on your own. You have to basically find out the roots of this particular equation, 2x square minus 5x plus 3, and you would be using the same methodology as discussed by us earlier. Don't worry about the methodology used in this particular solution that you see on your screen. The methodologies may be different, but they should be correct, and they would all lead to the same answer, right? So you can use your own methodology. In case you still find some problem, you can look at how the question has been solved here, because the methodology used by this particular solution is also very much similar to what we had done. So the other question that is assigned to you now is this one, 6x square minus x minus 2. Again, you have to do the same thing. You have to basically split this term, and I have given you the procedure step by step. You follow the step by step procedure and you would be able to get the answer here. Do cross check your answers by actually putting in the values that you have got as your answers in the original equation, and finding out whether it results into a 0 or not. If it results into 0, then naturally the answers are correct. So this is what you are going to do now. I've given you a brief idea about how to use factorization method to solve the quadratic equations, to find out the roots of quadratic equation, to find out the two values of x in the quadratic equation. Now we'll be moving on to a slightly different method of solving the quadratic equation. So that method we'll be discussing in the forthcoming sessions. Till then, the task for you is to keep going through whatever discussions we have had and try and solve as many questions as possible, so that you can get a better understanding of the whole concept. And the more questions you solve, the more number of times you come across various problems, and then you can raise those queries, and I would be more than happy to answer those queries. And through this particular method you would be able to improve your understanding. So the task for you is to, apart from the 5 questions that I had given to you, 5 or 6 questions which were there, and the 2 examples that we have just discussed, you please solve some more questions and ensure that you have gained sufficient expertise in solving the quadratic equation using the factorization method.